Got it. Okay. Thank you. Good morning, all, and welcome to our final 2022 board meeting. Boy, is time flying by. Here we go. I'm going to call the meeting to order. And Greg, Mr. Secretary, do we have a quorum?
Yes, Madam Chairman, we do.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anything else to say, like the minutes?
Oh, thank you. Need more coffee. I'd like to move that we approve the minutes of our last meeting, September 19th, 2022.
All in favor? All in favor? Got it. Okay, we're good. Thank you. Before I get started, I would like to offer up an adjustment to the agenda that we're working from today. There are some financial things that we've been working on for quite some time that are coming up for a vote. We were dotting the I's and crossing the T's, quite frankly, up until the last few days. So we have an investment strategy that will be coming up, and we will also have a financial strategy coming up, and a draft budget for 2023. So stay tuned. A couple things when I was getting ready for this meeting. Once again, I hope it's not just a sign of age, but time seems to be going by so much more quickly these days. And here we are, and another year has gone by. So I just wanted to say a few things. I feel like the year was pretty good, not too bad. We welcomed Carrie DeVillette and Lori Allenbach to our board. We introduced the third Tuesday speaker series that was very ably produced by Lori Wellinghoff. And we also were able to put together a meet the town council and the mayoral candidates, which was a good thing, well received. Lori and then Jonathan Surrey have also been working on a newsletter, and I think that you all would agree that it is greatly enlivened and is maintaining a readership of more than 70%. So I feel like the members agree with this as well. Greg Thompson and his able committee, nominating committee, were able to create an outstanding slate of candidates for us, make sure that they got out, that we had a good Meet the Candidates event, and we're now running, we're in the middle of the election, and I certainly encourage you all to vote if you haven't. Easy vote, and then by ballot if we do not have your email. Lori Allenbach also, on our behalf, formed a membership committee. And among other things, she provided a very social welcome to the new property owners here in Sea Pines, which is always a good thing. And Lee Stevens, who serves as our ARB representative, has also kept us on the straight and narrow with what I've given this a very special title, with what I call his near encyclopedic knowledge of how things work.
Yes.
So that has helped us. Would you agree? It sounds easy, but it's hard work. And then this is where it really gets hard. And that's saying goodbye to board members that have endeared themselves to us over the past 3 years. One is Grover Todd, who has been our treasurer. And we say, thank you very much for your stewardship. But the interesting thing about working with Greg is he's very quiet, but he is an incredible listener. And so you'll kind of look at him and you'll see his little frame on the Zoom, and it's, he's very pensive. And then all of a sudden he opens his mouth and genius comes out. So, I mean, it's a wonderful characteristic, and we're going to miss it, I have to say. Very perceptive. And then the second one is Dave Ellis. And Dave began as our secretary and is our vice president this year. His non-practicing South Carolina legal mind, I think, has helped us better understand our rights and privileges that this POA is granted under the covenants and the agreements and legal opinions and everything else that's out there, including a few lawsuits. He's lent an empathetic ear to a lot of us. He has generously shared his kindness and intelligence with us, which is quite a winning combination. So we look forward to Dave's successful run for his reelection to the CSA Board of Directors, in which case we're very proud to share him with all the property owners and not just our members. So every good wish to both of you, Grover and Dave. And I'm so glad I got through that. Anyway, so we believe that the future holds promise, a lot of promise, a lot of light, a lot of energy. Jonathan Surrey and Carrie D. Vallette have been working away on a calendar. I hate to jump the gun, but I'm very confident that it'll be coming shortly. Calendar of events for all things that are happening inside the gates for our members. We're looking forward to a very interactive relationship with our members. You'll see some surveys, some more questions coming out. We'll be asking for opinions on a range of topics. And also we'll be sharing plain English insights into the web of covenants and agreements and legal opinions to really better the knowledge of our membership. And lastly, for some fun, I hope that you'll, as soon as we set the date for the annual meeting, I hope that you'll get it on your calendar and join us. Last year we had the meeting, it was followed by some wine and some cheese and a lot of conversation and a lot of fun. So anyway, that's kind of 2002 and 23, and we'll move on here. Let's see, management report, Kathleen Smith.
Thank you, Paula. Since our last meeting, we've received about 45 phone calls, 25 emails, and Lisa has let me know that from your email to all of the regime presidents, we received an additional 24 new email addresses. I don't want to steal the election thunder, but we did start November 1. Easy Vote went live. For those of you who have an email address on file, should have received a link to go on and cast your vote for the directors. So to date, we've received 460 online ballots completed. We've received 62 paper ballots. We do need a quorum of 20% of the eligible members for voting, which is 655 total votes. And to date, we've received 522. So we're just at 16%. So make sure you all go into your emails and click that link if you received it by email. If you received a paper ballot, make sure you fill it out and mail it back. If anybody has questions, didn't receive a ballot, or needs a link resent, please send us an email at info@cpinespoa.com. You can also give us a shout on the phone. It's 843-422-7648. That's all I've got.
Okay. Of the phone calls and the emails that you got, do you have like a ballpark figure of how many were asking about the election or balloting? I know this is our second year of going to online voting, but do you have a feel for that, Kathleen?
Lisa came to me. There were a couple of questions about where ballots were, so we're going to follow up with those and get Easy Vote to send links. But other than that, they've been very minimal. A lot of them are questions about C-Pines in general, and a lot of them that we refer back over to CSA or to ARB questions. We get a few of those as well.
Okay, got it. So, okay, so it's going smoothly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Grover Todd, our financial report.
All right. And Paula, thank you for the kind words. You've been a wonderful leader.
My pleasure.
And will continue to be. The first thing, we report our financials quarterly. So two things I need to do today, and that is to report our third quarter financials, and then also present a budget for 2023, which the board has put together in a recent workshop. So first of all, we'll go into the balance sheet for that was posted 9/30 of 22, third quarter. As you can see on there, first of all, you see our operating accounts. And that's, you put them all together, you're looking somewhere around just short of 36,000. And then you can see the balances in our investment funds in the next two columns, which Morgan Stanley handles our investments solely. Investment interest, you can see there. So you see our total assets, and it boils down. You can see the liabilities and equity. Current year earnings is basically our dues collected less expenses through 9/30. So you can see it's 78,880. Any questions on the balance sheet? All right, flip over to the what's labeled budget variance, and I'll look at the year-to-date column. Kind of lets us know where we are versus what we budgeted. And you can see membership, total income, including our membership dues and a little bit of interest at 167. For the year, well, we budgeted 174.5. If you include the reserve income, we're at 171.3 with again a budget of 174,500. So just short, but very, very close to what we anticipated. Under expenses, currently on our management fees, we're at 22,500 with an annual budget of 35,000. So we should fall under that number for the year. Legal fees at 22,000 with currently with an annual budget of 35,000, and we feel good about not exceeding the budget in that area. Bank charges, which is nothing other than credit card fees when folks are paying their dues. Website development, had a lot of activity last year in that area, but that's we've got that more manageable now, so the expenses are not that great. Communication, which includes a whole list of things here, includes election, includes any kind of printing, any kind of communicating with our membership, collateral protection, constant contact, Zoom, InDesign, all that's under communication here. So we've spent about 16,000 year to date with about a budget of 27,000. Other areas of significance, probably all small numbers after that, but currently we're at 70,674 in total administrative expenses, with still under our budget of 122,000. And then if you throw in the insurance expense, which would include director and officer and any kind of liability insurance, you can see we're at right at 22,000 with a budget of 30,000. So with everything in, we're at $78,880 in expenses with a so we're currently in very, very good shape. Well, excuse me, 92,000 in total expenses. So we're in good shape for the year with our variance. Any questions on the balance sheet or the financials as far as the income statement? All right. Seeing none, Paul, you want me to go ahead and present the budget? Okay.
Yes, please. Sorry.
All right. So if you flip over to the Property Owner Association 2023 budget, and it's, much like what I
think Grover, I think Kathleen can put that up for everybody to look at since it wasn't in the board package.
Can you all see the screen?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. As you can see, we are projecting 171,000 in revenues, and that is keeping the dues the same as 2022. Last year we projected 174.5, so the 171 is basically in line with what we received in income this year. As far as expenses, our management fees, they will be $36,000. That's set forward in front of us. So we're budgeting that. We're dropping our legal fees budget down from last year at 35,000 to this year down to 15. I think some of the lawsuits and whatnot have come to a conclusion, but the 15,000 is just kind of what if. Bank charges, again, that's just swipe fees. We have to include some for those paying their dues using their credit card. Website at 7,500, which is far less than what we budgeted last year of 15,000. Communication, again, I listed all the things that's under communication, with the exception of this year, we broke out election expense, but communication would include any kind of what I said, plus any new initiatives. So we've thrown a good bit of money in there for communication with our membership. Election expense at 5,500, which is pretty much what it costs this year. New member recruitment at 5, accounting at 2,500. That's basically to do our return and have someone look over our shoulder to verify our financials are accurate. It's got some other expenses, property and liability insurance, again at 25,000, which is slightly north of this previous year, but we want to give some room in case the renewal comes in a little higher. So got 139,000 in expenses versus 171 in income. So that gives us 32,000 at the bottom line that we will put again toward our reserves. In our reserves, we want to get that up into the $600,000 range. So each year we will try to contribute that to build that to where we're comfortable. Any questions in regards to the 2023 budget? Paula?
Am I on mute or can you hear me?
I can hear
We
you.
can hear you.
Okay. I was just wondering, and I think this was my mistake, if we could, the reserve contribution, if we could make that the contingency / reserve contribution. So for the unknown out there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Well, I would move that the 2023 budget as reported with the modification as stated by Paula be adopted for next year.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Grover.
You're welcome.
There are 2 other documents that will be posted on the website. They are verbiage, 3 to 4 pages of verbiage each. One is the financial policy, which deals with how the POA works with IMC in terms of handling money, the limitations, and the, I guess, restraints that we've put on it. Most of this is in their contract, but we felt that we needed to have a financial policy that was acknowledged by the board for anybody that we work with. So I would like to put it up for a vote now. You all have a copy of it, and IMC has a copy of it. Do you want it? Do you want to look at it up here one more time? How would you? I can put it up for a vote now, or I can ask Kathleen to put it up. Oh,
I move that we vote now.
okay. I'll call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. So the financial policy passes as presented and will be published on the website shortly after the meeting. The second one is the investment strategy. And that is, again, not to be confused with financial, it is how we handle the reserve budget. And it's critically important that we keep the reserves and keep them growing. In order to be financially viable, we have to have, I think, a healthy reserve budget, because we may be called on at any point in time for projects, initiatives that we're not aware of today. Particularly with property owners, perhaps behaving above the covenants and above our rules and regulations. There's a couple things that are involved with it. The responsibility, the fiscal responsibility, has to be very, very conservative. And the only objective with these reserves is to be at least equal to inflation, so that we don't lose money. The objective here is to preserve the reserves. If we grow them, wouldn't that be wonderful? But it's a very, very, very conservative strategy. And I will read it to you. Let me see if I can find it.
Can you share the screen?
Sure. Well, it's one. If you want to put it on the screen, Kathleen, I'll tell you the page as soon as I find it. I'm looking for financial investment. Okay, so
I can make you co-host and then you'll be able to share it.
okay. Let's see, let me go back. Am I okay? So share screen. Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. It's pretty, I mean, in addition to all of the guidelines and what have you, the specific investment policy is that we keep at least $100,000 in very liquid assets, 90-day CD ladders. And then what's left over from that would be split 50-50 between corporate bond exchange traded funds with a BBB plus rating or higher, and then high yield exchange traded fund bonds. So it's all bonds and CDs, which is a very, very conservative investment, but I also believe that it is very appropriate for this type of reserve. So I'd like to put that to a vote. All those in favor of improving the financial strategy, investment strategy? Greg, second. All those in favor? Thank you. Okay, and we will publish that as well. And that will go under financial on the website. Okay, POA updates. Lee, how's the ARB doing?
Busy. Our agendas have been very lengthy. We've joked that by the time the meeting is over, we need to send out for dinner.
Oh, wow.
The couple things I'll point out is on the first page of the one that's entitled Sea Pines Plantation Dwelling Unit Density Report. The total lots remaining has been declining, which is not a surprise. There's been a lot of construction going on within Sea Pines. But the other thing, and I've mentioned this at the last couple of meetings, is based on the age of our community, the number of teardowns is increasing dramatically. So which has certainly been the case in other places along the East Coast, that as far as ocean type resorts or communities have seen, and we're seeing it now in Sea Pines, that when we go on a site visit to see a new construction, we're used to showing up at a empty lot, and lately we've been showing up and finding a house there, which is going to come down. So that's new and increasing dramatically this year. And then on the other page of the report under the ARB applications, the one I'll point out is a dramatic increase in swimming pools. And it's a discussion we have every week on whether a lot is sufficient to have a pool and its impact on neighbors. And those discussions, I'm sure, will go on in the near future. So those are the two major points. If there are any questions. Harry?
Lee, I know ARB is a separate agency or organization, but does ARB publish a budget like we do, or publish expenses? You know, is there a way to view the money, where it goes, and things of that nature?
Good question. Not to my knowledge. I've seen the budget at the beginning of every year, but I don't believe it's posted anywhere. I can't tell you the truth. I can't answer why. The ARB is actually a standing committee of the ARC, which is the Architectural Review Corporation, and the ARC is a board that actually Paula sits on, along with Larry Motion and Sam Bennett and Steve Birdwell, and I believe one other person from the resort. Is that correct, Paula?
I believe there are two from the resort,
Yeah.
yes.
But I can find out more for you, Carrie, and get back to you on how that can be viewed. It may have to be something that you come to the ARB office to see.
I'd also like to mention that J.R. Richardson, who is the chairman of the ARB, will be our speaker tomorrow at the third Tuesday. So we can ask him on the spot.
Welcome aboard.
Corey?
Yeah, Lee, you said that ARB takes into consideration neighbors when pools are put in. Could you tell me just a little bit more about what weight is that given in the decision, and what are you asking the neighbors about?
Actually, the ARB takes into consideration any new construction plans are sent to any neighbor within 150 feet of the property.
Okay.
And then it's up to the neighbor to respond or not as to any issues they may have. And it's just a point of consideration. If the construction meets the guidelines, it's difficult for us to turn something down, but we do in cases go back and ask people to possibly move something. Example is, we had a case recently where somebody wanted to put a pool to the right rear of their house, but within the setbacks. And we offered to give them a variance if they would put it in the middle of the backyard so it didn't impact the neighbor. So they didn't come asking for a variance, but we felt that we would grant one if they were willing to make that change.
Okay.
Another question about pools. Are they ever turned down? I mean, or do you just try to make it work?
We try to make it work. It depends on the property, but yes, they may be deferred. In other words, we'll look at it and say that it's based on the placement. We won't approve it, but if they come back and are able to move it to within the guidelines, so that within the proper setbacks, then there's really no reason that we can turn it down.
Okay, thank you. Okay, communications.
Hey, Paula,
Jonathan,
before we
sorry?
move on, Lee, thank you for your responses. But I did have a follow-up. So Paula, I get questions from a lot of my neighbors about the ARC and the ARB. And I think it's one of those things that if on our website, we could begin to provide some explanation as to, how that all fits in within Sea Pines, and when people go to that versus coming to, SPPOA, et cetera. Is that something that I can work with you on, or how can we facilitate that?
I think it's a good suggestion, and I think we could work with Jonathan on that. Right now, one of the objectives for next year is to really share some of our knowledge with the property owners on covenants and things like that. So this would be probably part of the communication. It's in terms of website, I would leave that to Jonathan. It may even be a link, and ARB has a website per se. I don't know that people realize it. It's part of the CSA website, but that we provide a link and make sure that the information that they provide is sufficient.
Yeah, I might add one more thing since you brought that up. The ARB agenda is published every week in
Yeah.
advance, so usually Thursday afternoon or Friday of the week before the ARB meeting, which is always a Tuesday at 1 o'clock. The agenda for that Tuesday is published to this ARB section of the Sea Pines Living. And then following the meeting, once those minutes from the meeting are approved, the minutes are also posted. So anybody can go on to that section of the website and see exactly what action was taken on any plans that were submitted.
Carrie, were your questions more toward the how versus the outcome, what the criteria is? Because I believe that is published. I'd have to go back and look.
Well, it's more about the infrastructure. You know, I remember when we did a remodel, you know, I kept calling it the ARB, and then Suzanne was at the office along with Ken, and she kept saying, no, it's the ARC that you write your check out to. And so I was like, well, what, you know, how do they relate? So I'm trying to figure out that so that people understand the difference between what the ARC is and the ARB. And then also just from a, you know, when you write your check out, where, you know, the money goes to the ARC, where does that money go to? What purposes? It funds a budget to do some things, but what else does the money go for?
Yeah, I mean, some of the things it funds are the full-time staff of the ARB, which is Ken and now Lonnie, Suzanne retired.
Right.
It pays for the rent for the office space that we occupy at the CSA building. It also, part of the money ARB receives is the tree fund. So when somebody cuts down a tree, they have the option of replacing it or paying $50 into the tree fund. That tree fund is used from time to time to replace, either to put new trees or to replace trees throughout Sea Pines. There's also cases where CSA will want to do some additional work on CSA property, and ARC will contribute to those, to the landscaping plans. But all the money is held by the ARC.
The way that it was created or later assigned by virtue of several pieces of negotiations years and years ago, the ARB was created to assign the ARC was created as a nonprofit private corporation of which you have the members, which are CSA, the POA, and I think the resort. That's a private non-profit corporation. The ARB submits their budget to the ARC, and the ARC approves that budget and handles the money. The ARB is the only standing committee of the ARC with the full rights of handling all of the design and architectural criteria in any outside work that's done. Carrie, part of the reason you don't see the budget is because things like budgets and things like that are available to members, but no property owner is a member. It's just the organization, CSA and ASPO and the resort, and they see the budget and they get the budgets. But that's the basic criteria of the way that works. I hope to shed a little light on it, but I think Carrie is right in the sense that people need to understand the makeup of the organizations that affect their lives here in Sea Pines, and that, you know, that would be a good topic to be able to add to that slate. So there's, you know, some real response and information that gets out, and it should be done periodically, because as we have a turnover of property owners, the new set of property owners won't know what the previous ones did. And so I think it's a good point that Carrie made, that this is the kind of information be helpful to the property owners.
Thanks for the explanation, David.
Yeah, thanks, David. I had one thing. I got a call from a property owner last week or the week before, and he was having trouble finding anything on the CSA website that would inform him about the ARB. And I think it's listed under community partners.
Yes.
You have to go there to then get to the ARB. So if you didn't understand what David and Lee were talking about, you wouldn't think of them as a partner. You'd think of them probably as part of CSA when actually they're not. So think we can work with Amanda and maybe help folks find the ARB information easier.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think all of you know.
I think we
don't
could
know
get
if
something on
everybody-
our site.
Yeah, good.
And I think all
Go
of you
ahead,
know that even at man, I don't know if the people watching do that. The Sea Pines Resort places 3 people on the ARB. Sea Pines Property Owners Association places 2 people on the ARB, and CSA places 2 people on the ARB. And then the resort also nominates or chooses an alternate, and CSA and Sea Pines Property Owners share an alternate. So there are 7 permanent members and 2 alternates. And the alternates attend the meetings, can talk at the meetings, voice their opinion, but only and they can only vote if one of the standing members is absent.
Okay, thank you all. Carrie, thank you very much for bringing that up. Are you coming Tuesday?
I'm going to try to. I can't commit yet. We may have somebody coming in from out of town, but
Okay,
I'm going to try to.
all right, good. The second update is communications with Jonathan Surrey and Lori Wellinghoff.
Hi. Well, as has been said a couple of times, but I'll just say it one more time. Tonight is our third Tuesday speaker series at the Sea Pines Community Center. It's from 5 to 6:30. Tonight's speaker is J.R. Richardson, and I will tell you that I have learned from his wife that he has put together a presentation that is something she had hoped he would do sometime in his lifetime, and that it is now, put together with, a vision and visuals, and it is the history of Hilton Head from his eyes and his heart and his mind, dating back to 1955 through today, and then his vision for the future. Given what an amazing guy he is and how many roles he's played in helping to found and then raise up this community, I think it'll be a spectacular evening and very enlightening. Then we will take December off and enjoy all the various holidays, and then come back Jan, Feb, March, April, May, each with amazing speakers that will be that can be found on our website. But our speaker series is just chock-a-block with interesting people. And for those who may not have attended yet, I think everyone who has can attest. It's an amazing hour and a half. Somebody did say, we should record them and make them available. I think that's interesting. And we're definitely going to be looking into that. Yes, Grover.
Did you say tonight?
Oh, I'm sorry if I did. Brain fog. Tomorrow. Thank you. Tomorrow, Tuesday. Yes. Anything else that I brain fogged on?
No.
It happens. Also, the November newsletter is probably going to come. We tend to like to wait till after the third Tuesday speaker series, because we'll have a recap article in the newsletter, and that takes a little time to produce, and we're blessed that Alex Cruden writes that for us. So I would anticipate sometime late next week, hopefully, that we will have something out for everyone to read over the Thanksgiving holiday. Always reach out to us if you have thoughts about newsworthy items, both of a human interest as well as anything a little more nuts and bolts that you want to see in our newsletters. We're always open to those ideas. And Kathleen, what people could send that to where?
They can send an email to info@cpinepoa.com.
Terrific. But so far, we've been sort of adding and subtracting and getting things honed to keep providing information that we think is useful in your daily life in Sea Pines. And we will continue to push ourselves to make our newsletters meaty. And then Jonathan is doing an amazing job with the help of all of the wonderful staff people that surround us in keeping our website also a ready resource of things that people who live in the community might need to know. And I want to remind everyone that all of this, plus much, much more, which you'll hear about in this meeting, comes at the low, low price of $50 a year to be a member of our organization. And we are, you know, the eyes, the ears, and the activists for property owners and only for property owners. And if you pay your $50, you get to attend our speaker series at no charge. You receive our monthly newsletter, and you also get all of these people on this screen working very hard on your behalf. So don't be cheap. There.
Okay, thank
Lori,
you.
you summed that up really well.
Okay. Lee, is there a report from Jonathan? Did you want to add to that? Do you dare?
That's a hard act to follow. No, I think Lori summed it up really well. She mentions
Okay,
everything.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Lee, do you have anything from Covenant Reform?
There's nothing new to report, but while I have the floor, I'd like to thank Grover and David for their sage advice over the 2 years that I've been on the board. It's been great, and I'm sorry to see both of them go. So thanks to both of you.
Thank you.
Amen. Let's see, legal. We have down 88 Lawton for an update that I think at our last workshop, we talked about 88 Lawton. It had been an unkempt property for a long time, dating back years. And to sort of set a fire to address these issues, the Sea Pines POA had offered to split the legal costs with CSA because litigation was required in order to create some way forward for improvements. I think we've reached the point where the legal case was very successful, and we are now, the lawyers are working with the court in how to execute some of these decisions, how much things are going to cost, how does it get paid for, access to the property. So I think we agreed as a board that our job is done at this point. So we're going to take this off of the updates, and I will be having a conversation with CSA regarding our position to make sure that there's no surprises anywhere. Land use, Greg.
Thank you, Paula. Just a couple of things briefly. The committee has been taking a look at how effectively we've been able to enforce the rules. And we got a report from Ryan that basically says the rules and the enforcement are working. There's always exceptions to that, but they are really quite few in number. The truth is, Ryan's done a really nice job of working with people to get them to comply. A lot of times it's just a phone call or a letter. Most people, when they realize that they're out of conformance to the rule, act quickly and things get fixed. Again, there's always a few stragglers, but I think you could say it's like a 90-95-5 kind of mix. Sea Pines property owners are cooperative people. I think the rules have been in place now for about 1.5 years, and the committee will next year take a look at whether or not the rules are written in a way that's clear and helpful to people. Again, our job is really to help people, not to be the police. And so we enjoy people's cooperation. There is a review underway right now of roadside barriers. We hope to get that wrapped up maybe tomorrow or very soon after the CSA board meeting. Committee's done a great job. Lee Stevens and Alex Cruden and Ed Werner have really been the spark plugs on that and have done a nice job, and I appreciate their work. So that's the report on loan. All things are moving forward.
I have one just additional kind of TBD. I attended the regime presidents get together from time to time, and I had attended that meeting by Zoom, and the question was coming up regarding loan, and Ryan was there. He was excellent. Are the fines working? Are they being paid? Is there a way to quantify this in some way? So I followed up with CSA, and my understanding is they're not being reported at this very moment, but they will be at the CSA board meeting tomorrow. I will be watching to get that information, and we will share it in our newsletter with you. I think it's important to just have a sense of weight behind this. I'm kind of hoping that the amount of fines are low, meaning that the response rate has been incredibly high. And I believe that's the case, but we'll know tomorrow, and we will share that information with you as well. Okay, membership committee. Thank you very much, Greg.
You're welcome.
Membership committee, Lori.
I had three things to talk about. One was the new homeowners party, which was for new homeowners in 2022. We had 35 people attend. They were a very nice group of people. They made friends. I think they thoroughly enjoyed it. It was not a tremendous amount of work. And it was interesting that those who were there and talked to board members felt that there was a great deal of confusion over the difference between the POA, CSA, POA, neighborhood POAs who either had fees or didn't. And we talked about this and thought that this is something we need to concentrate on in 2023 and figure out a better way to have people understand who we are. And I think it goes beyond saying, this is what we do. It should also include, these are the other organizations that you will hear from. Because especially with the POAs, it becomes confusing. If you're getting an invoice from the Club Course POA, if you're getting one from Sea Pines POA, if you're getting one also from Residence Club in Club Course, it's a lot to understand. So that was one thing that we wanted to do going forward. The other is to make the website much more valuable to current members. I think the fact that we're doing the calendar is going to make a giant step in that direction. I know that Paula has been researching other POAs websites and how people are interacting with them. So that might give us some exciting things to do coming up in the new year. And then the last thing is that we've been working very hard on survey questions for the newsletter, hopefully, so that we would like to see at least one survey question in each newsletter going forward, that people can give input and have their voices heard. So that's pretty much it for membership. Any questions?
Nice job.
Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, and the nominating committee, Greg, we're putting you out of business this month, aren't we?
You are. The nominating committee, again, my cohorts in crime are Lee and Lori. They did most of the work in recruiting our great slate of candidates. The election process has run very smoothly. People are voting, both using paper ballots and electronic. I think Paul, you talked about the numbers. We're still short of reaching our quorum, and we'll get some more mail today, and hopefully that'll get us over the hump. But I think the process has worked. And again, thanks to Lee and Lori, and I want to welcome our new directors.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Does anybody have any unfinished business? Did we miss something? Dave, thank you.
Well, I just want to say how honored I have been to serve on this board and with the people that have been on it the past 3 years. This has been a real educational process for me, and the ability to learn from a more narrow view what interests the residential property owners, and giving me some insight that is a little different from, serving on the CSA board where you represent everyone. But in particular, the transformation of this organization has been tremendous since the day I got on the board, and that's because of Paula's leadership. There are so many new and important things that have come up. ASPO is a very important organization in this community. It is the only organization that specifically is mentioned in the earlier covenant starting with 1974. It has very significant legal rights. And so I learned, learned a lot, and I want you to realize that this board and anybody that serves on it is making a significant contribution to this community. And I just enjoyed my time being with you. And I want to thank you, and Paula, particularly you, for the work you have spearheaded.
Thank you, Dave. We are a very active board now. We are pulling together, I gotta say. So anyway, thank you. Anything else? New business? Do we have any new opportunities? All righty. With that, I'm gonna call for the meeting to be adjourned. All those in favor? Okay. I think we needed a second in there somewhere, but okay.
Okay.
Thank
I'll
you all
second.
very much. Have a
Thank you,
wonderful
Paula.
Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Thank
You too.
you.
All right.
You
Bye-bye.
too.
Bye
Thanks,
now.
Paula.